G'day, guys. Welcome to our Youth Men Weekly Wrap podcast. We had an abundance of preliminary finals here, especially in our Vic Champ Men. We had Melbourne hosting Diamond Valley and then Kilsyth hosting Ringwood. Some massive games here. 1, 2, 3, and 4 all from the same conference as we had some upsets last weekend. Now we'll go straight to Melbourne at MSAC, and they were able to get it done in a very close game, 85-82 over the Diamond Valley Eagles. Mark, it was a sensational game.
Yeah, and Diamond Valley Eagles just fall short on that. What I would almost refer to as a somewhat of a fairy tale run. They started the season slowly, but have really excelled in the back end of the year with some big results. But Daniel Polsma did what we expected him to do. 31 points at 52% is incredibly efficient, and he did all he could to try and keep his Eagles boys in this one. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Melbourne really had any answers for him on the defensive end. He sort of got to his spot and was able to finish through contact all the time. He found himself off pin downs, off the ball to come into his form of his three-point shooting. But this was two teams that play incredibly different. Melbourne play a very systematic basketball with their shuffle and first and thirds and wizards and all that stuff that they kind of do, whereas Diamond Valley play a very conceptual-based game where it's very basic, just middle pick and rolls, side pick and rolls, single pin downs and isolation plays. So it was very interesting to watch some clips of this game and see how it unfolded. But I mean, Mason Gay's the veteran of NBL 1 almost, you could say. He's a genuine veteran of Big V, but a talented NBL 1 player playing 40 minutes, 25 points to go with his 7 rebounds and 9 assists. He is almost far too good to be in this league, isn't he?
Yeah, he's elite, and he's definitely a class above. Flirting with that triple-double in a preliminary final is certainly something that he'll remember, and I'm sure his teammates will as well. So well done to the Melbourne Tigers who advance and get the opportunity to host the grand final this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we move to our other game where Kilsyth got it done quite comfortably here towards the end of the game, 96-68 over Ringwood. It was 33-point second quarter to Ringwood 17, where they sort of just took that commanding lead, to be honest, with a Bailey Ruff-less Ringwood unit.
Yeah, and Ringwood have put up a good fight without Bailey Ruff. They got through the majority of the game against Dandenong and got the win there in the upset last week, but it sort of became a little bit too much. That second quarter, they really fell off, and then the fourth quarter was you could see Kilsyth were running away, ready for the grand final, while Ringwood were struggling, particularly offensively. But Harrison Seeley once again just drops a cheeky 21 points to go with 5 boards and 3 assists. He was great on the night, but probably didn't have as many scoring threats around him as he would have liked.
Yeah, unfortunately not. And Kilsyth sort of took advantage of their size with, Josh Haywood playing 21 minutes, he's 16 points. Hamish McDonald coming down from NBL 1 where he's 18 and 11. Brad Haywood, one of the more prolific scoring guards in this league. Not really a three-point threat, but just a very smart and efficient driver. Ben Barrett shooting the ball well. Lucky Vandervorm, a veteran in this team, only had 4 points in his 23 minutes, but he's incredibly smart. He just has that IQ about himself in tough situations that he can really just get the job done.
Yeah, sets up a really exciting final between Melbourne and Kilsyth next week. On to the Youth League 1 men, and we had Windham overcome a really strong first half from Keysborough, but they won 108-89. Ted, you were at this game. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, I was at this game, and it was very interesting, to be honest. Keysborough had some sort of weird momentum in the first half. It wasn't like they were scoring with ease. It was a lot of tough and contested shots in the middle of the paint and tips and everything like that. They weren't scoring easily the way that Windham sort of do throughout their whole game. Windham struggled to guard in the first half, just on the ball and in their off-ball actions. They seemed to be scrambling quite a lot, but that was something that they definitely fixed up in the second half. They scored 37 points in the third. They had a very intense and erratic sort of first 4 minutes of the third quarter that just put Keysborough against the wall, and they just sort of got lost for a while there. And if you're a Windham fan, you probably thought that game was over pretty quickly. And by the looks of it, it kind of was. The momentum never really got back to Keysborough. Oscar Jones and and Josh Norling sort of just took charge and did what they wanted, to be honest.
Yeah, and a 37-point third quarter. It looks like Coach Benstead just went, guys, can we just please tidy this up? And out they came and delivered. Bit of a shout out to someone who probably doesn't get much credit as the others, but Emmanuel Deng was brilliant. And the last time I saw him play, he was the X factor as well. He finished with 19 points and 11 rebounds. He's one certainly that third cog to just keep an eye on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's a prolific scorer in transition. He's long as lengthening. He's got a really good Euro and can finish well on either side of the ring, and just his ability to just guard at length as well. He just deceptively long.
Yeah.
But shout out to Lenny Gorman, the captain, 23 points in their last game of the season. He was fantastic, really, to keep these guys going, and he did show that emotion in some pretty big players to try and get them running. Just didn't really happen for him.
Yeah. And on to the next one, we had Hume. This was a really close game for pretty much the majority. They just pulled away from Geelong in that fourth quarter with a huge 31-point fourth quarter. They won 103-91. For Geelong, Bailey Bruce, brilliant. Marak, doing Marak things.
Brilliant.
Jack Moran off the bench for the second week in a row, brilliant. So if you think those three are going to have big games, you're generally thinking that Geelong are going to win.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
But tell us about Hume. They've got a number of options.
Yeah, they do. I mean, we bring up Corey Fittis in not just this podcast, we'll talk about it in the seniors, so we won't touch on it too much because, if you know who he is, you know what he can do, and he's just so dominant in his league. But Ben Gale with 22 points, 8 rebounds, Elijah Tate with 25. He's one of those guys that can jump into that senior men's team and take charge and actually have quite an effect in that age group. But when they come back down, these guys are just able to do it all. They didn't shoot overly well. Ben was 4 of 7 from 3-point line, but Elijah Tate 2 of 7 there. So it wasn't the best shooting night for them as a group. They did shoot 39% from 3-point line, so I probably am wrong there.
Yeah, it's not a bad percentage, but yeah, Elijah Tate, you'd expect those numbers to be slightly higher percentage-wise, but as a group, they did shoot the ball quite efficiently.
Yeah, they do, and they're really just bigger and stronger and more physical than almost every other team in Youth League One. I remember speaking to it in Windham, and they were concerned about the size that they were going to have, and Geelong do have a lot of size, but it's just the physicalness that Hume have that just sort of defeated them, I think.
Yeah, it sets them up for a really good final, 1v2 grand final at Windham on Saturday night. Moving on to Youth League 2, we've got two huge games. Sunbury knocking off Mornington 95-77, and I think it was our man, Owen Stevens, and Zach Martinez, who were the stars of the show. Stevens with 29 points on fairly efficient shooting percentages there, 6 of 14 from deep. And he made it rain. And then Zach Martinez, who's more of that distributing guard, but can put the ball in the hole too. 24 points to go with 8 assists. So a dynamic backcourt there for the Jets.
Yeah, I reckon that's Martinez.
What am I saying?
I don't know.
Martinez.
I reckon it's Martinez.
We'll
move on, though.
I think you might be right.
We'll move on, though. Daniel Salvatore had 19 points to go with his 15 rebounds as well. A massive double-double there. Sunbury just proved to be a little bit too much for Mornington. Max Cairns had a massive performance, 21, 17, and 7, just unable to get it done for Mornington.
Gee whiz, that Max Cairns stat line looks like it's off a video game.
I reckon.
That's huge. Well done to the Jets. And on to Whittlesea, who got it done in a really tough fight against Melbourne University. Our usual man, Ethan Bateman, a little bit quiet, but it didn't matter because Callum Stojanovic, 23 points. And then Chase Pinono, 13 points, 9 rebounds. But sorry, I've just missed something. Ethan Bateman had a whopping 7 blocks. 10.
Yeah, 7 blocks. Pretty incredible. He almost had a double-double, 11 rebounds and 7 blocks. It was quite quiet for the Melbourne Uni, though. Josh McNally with just the 22 points. Cooper Eves with 18 and 13, though. But first year in the league, they made the elimination finals in this week 2. So congratulations to them, but just unable to get it done. That'll be all for us, Mark. With our youth men, we'll keep it locked as grand finals next week.